What if your favorite Disney stories had a darker twist? What if The Little Mermaid's wish came with a curse instead of a kiss? And what if Snow White was a warrior instead of a princess? Hi, Teddies! Welcome to the Hilda Club, the ultimate club for girly nerds and boys, a place for all things fun. I'm Hilda, and as I was pulling books from my bookshelf to inspire my next read, I uncovered a common theme. Dark, twisted books that are retellings or reimaginings of some of my favorite classic fairy tales and Disney stories. I haven't read these yet, but they inspired me to showcase them just in case you're looking for something moody and dark to add to your winter TBR. Something different than your typical Hallmark Christmas movie and cheesy romance that people tend to crave around this time of year, which honestly are so boring to me. And instead, I crave haunting, mysterious, and dark stories that are perfect for a cold, cozy night in. I have this big stack of books here that I'm going to be sharing with you. So with that, let's start with the very first one, which is a Snow White reimagining, and it's Sleep Like Death by Kalynn Bayron. This one immediately caught my eye, partly because it's a Fairy Loot special edition, and the cover is stunning. It's one of those books you just want to display on your shelf because the sprayed edges are beautiful. The dark purple complements the pops of color, and it gives you this gorgeous contrast. But beyond the cover, the story itself sounds really cool. So instead of a sweet, gentle princess who sings to animals, this story is about Princess Eve, who's been raised her entire life to fight, and her only purpose is to kill this creature called the Night, a monster who can grant wishes but turns them into curses. She also has this really cool ability to speak to animals and can create weapons from nature. So you still get magic, but way more dangerous. Her mother, Queen Regina, is also keeping secrets. She talks to a mirror, and things start to get really weird as Eve approaches her 17th birthday. And she soon learns that everything she once knew might be a lie. Plus, it looks really readable. The print isn't so tiny. So I feel like it's the kind of book you could tear through in a day if you're in the mood for high stakes, dark type of read. I think what makes this story so interesting is that Eve is the complete opposite of Snow White. She's not naive or soft-spoken. She's tough and willing to fight for the people that she cares about. And I love that. I love that this dark twist deals with secrets and betrayal and not knowing who to trust. So I think this might be a really good read to add to your winter TBR. Next, we have A Forgery of Fate by Elizabeth Lim, and this is a Beauty and the Beast reimagining and another Fairy Loot special edition, which means it's absolutely gorgeous. You can instantly feel the Chinese inspiration in the artwork and the colors. It has that soft, mystical glow. Even the edges are simple but elegant. It's one of those books that looks like a piece of art before you even open it. And this story follows Truan, who has the rare ability to paint the future. And when her father disappears at sea, her family starts to fall apart. Her mother's gambling debts spiral out of control, and they're on the edge of losing everything. That's when a mysterious dragon lord offers her a deal. He gives her family a fresh start if she agrees to a marriage contract and joins him in his undersea palace. It has all of the Beauty and the Beast hallmarks: an isolated castle, curses, and the beast that is a dragon lord. But this version feels so much more deeper and more layered. It's quite a hefty book, about 500 pages. So it's not like a one-sitting type of book, but it still feels digestible. It just gives off that feeling of a book you can sink in slowly, something that is beautiful, emotional, and tragic all at the same time. And you'll want to savor this one. So really looking forward to reading this story. Now the next book is Never Ever After by Lynn, and this one is a Cinderella reimagining, but what makes it stand out is that it's also inspired by Chinese fairy tales, which adds a richness to the story. This is also a Fairy Loot special edition, and It's absolutely stunning. The cover art, the foiling, everything about it feels so carefully designed. And the story follows Yining, who's had a really rough life. After losing her beloved uncle, she's forced to survive by becoming a thief. One day she comes across a magical ring that can change her future, but before she can use it, her step-aunt steals it. That kicks off her entire journey, and she sets out on this dangerous adventures to steal it back and take control of her life again. It has all of the familiar Cinderella elements. She lives in poverty, she's mistreated by her family, and she's just longing for a better life. But instead of a glass slipper, you get this magical ring that carries actual power, and I love that twist. It turns the story that's usually about luck and destiny into one about survival. And if you love adventure that still has that classic fairy tale energy, then this might be right up your alley. Next, we have Upon a Starlit Tide by Kell, and this is a Little Mermaid reimagining with Cinderella elements, and it's the only book on this list that really leans into the historical side of things. This is the Owl Crate Special Edition, and oh my gosh, the cover is absolutely breathtaking. It's elegant, romantic, and just screams Little Mermaid vibes, but in a 1700s art style. It's one of those covers that you almost don't want to touch because it's too special. The only thing I wish was different is the inside artwork. It's a little bland compared to how stunning the outside is, but still overall, it's such a gorgeous book. This story takes place in 1758 and follows Lucine, the youngest daughter of a wealthy French ship owner. And while her sisters are all focused on securing marriages, Lucy spends her days daydreaming of the open sea, and she doesn't want to be trapped in a life of an arranged marriage. But one stormy morning, she rescues a drowning man from the sea, and that moment completely changes her life. What's so cool is how this story captures the longing of the Little Mermaid, that ache you feel when you want something more. But it also mirrors Cinderella in the way Lucy feels trapped by the life she was born into. It feels like that kind of book you read slowly, where you just want to savor the language and the setting, and it feels more grounded. If you love historical stories that blend romance and magic and that feeling of yearning, then this will be such a beautiful book to dive into. Okay, so next we have Hexed by Emily McIntire, and this is another Little Mermaid reimagining, but told through a completely different lens. This one has more of a modern contemporary twist that blends Little Mermaid themes with crime families. Normally, I don't like to buy paperback books. I'm definitely a hardcover girl. I just love the weight of them, the texture, the way they hold up on a shelf over time. Paperbacks just bend and they crease at the spine, and it just drives me crazy. But this Barnes & Noble exclusive edition completely broke my rule. The cover is captivating. I love the color palette and the simplicity of the design. It's dark and really pulls you in before you even know what the story is about. And this book is part of the Emily McIntyre's Never After series, where she takes classic fairy tales and gives them this gritty, morally gray makeover. And in Hexed, she uses the Little Mermaid inspiration, but instead of a sea kingdom, we're thrown into the world of crime families. And the story follows Vanessa Anderson, who grew up in her uncle's crime empire after losing her parents. She's smart and loyal to her family until she meets somebody who makes her start questioning everything. And I'm curious to see how the author weaves in those Little Mermaid elements of yearning and sacrifice and identity. It sounds emotional, but also full of tension, and I'm really looking forward to experiencing this one. Okay, so the next three are from The Nightmare Before Christmas, and we have Sally's Lament, Long Live the Pumpkin Queen, and Hour of the Pumpkin Queen, which is the second book of this duology here. But we're going to start off with Sally's Lament by Marie Mancusi, which I think that's how you pronounce it. This one is actually written as a what-if story. Like, what if Sally had been the one to discover Christmas instead of Jack? And honestly, that idea alone hooked me right away. The Nightmare Before Christmas has always been one of my favorite Disney's movies. It's creepy and weird, but in the coolest kind of way. I recently rewatched it with Andrew, my husband, who shockingly had never seen it before. And I was like, "You've never seen The Nightmare Before Christmas? That's it, we're watching it." And he did like it, but just thought there were too many songs, which is fair. But anyway, this story is what if Sally discovered Christmas instead of Jack? But in this version, things aren't what they seem. There's something darker hiding beneath the snow and the candy canes in Christmas Town, and Sally has to face it. I love this concept because Sally's always been sweet and brave, but also a little haunted by her past, and giving her the spotlight just feels right. I'm excited to see her stepping into her own story and uncovering the secrets of a world that on the surface looks happy, but actually has something sinister going on underneath. And the last two books are Long Live the Pumpkin Queen and Hour of the Pumpkin Queen by Shea Ernshaw and Megan Shepherd, which are actually continuations of the movie and take place after Sally marries Jack and officially becomes the Pumpkin Queen of Halloween Town. Now that Sally is queen, we get to see her navigating what that really means and the weight of ruling an entire holiday world. From what I know, these stories take us deeper into the world beyond Halloween Town, and I just love that we get to see what happens to Sally and Jack after the movie and how much more we get to explore within their universe. If you're a fan of the movie, then these are definitely worth picking up. I didn't realize how many dark Disney stories were hiding in my bookshelf, and honestly, I'm pretty pumped about it because we're in the heart of fall, and these stories fit in perfectly during this season wherein you're wrapped under a comfy blanket on a lazy afternoon and kind of yearn something dark and complex to fill your days. And then before you know it, Christmas is around the corner and winter is here, and you've just lost the days to some fantastical stories. So I hope you found a new book to add to your winter TBR, and let me know in the comments below if you've read any of these books or if you recommend any that I add to my list. And if you enjoy content like this, then I welcome you to subscribe to the Hildabear Club and become a Teddy member. And I'll see you next time. Bye!